And then we also heard about the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, which began 4 months ago. And today, the Department of Homeland Security announced that, not particularly today, but they've announced that over 100,000 people, young people, have been granted temporary reprieve from deportation, and some 360-something thousand have applied. And this is just less than 1/3 of the nearly 3 million people actually estimated to be eligible nationwide. What's your take on this immigration policy of deporting people?
Well,
In your
actually,
experience?
I am actually very, very excited, obviously, with the momentum right now with the whole immigration reform, because it's so overdue, and it's so needed. I mean, the reality is that there are over 12 million illegal immigrants in this country, and
Right.
I want people to know that illegal doesn't mean that you walked across from Mexico. I was an illegal immigrant, and I was someone who came here with a legit visa, who took a flight here. I need people to understand. I wrote my book because I wanted to put a face to what an illegal immigrant is. I wanted America to see that being illegal doesn't make you an actual alien, that we are actually human beings. We actually have families. We actually have a story.
And
And
you're actually a registered nurse by profession too.
yes, yes. When I came here, I put myself through school, and at the time that I was arrested and put in removal proceedings, that is the actual term that they use.
Right.
I had been working as a registered nurse. I had kept one job for 10 years, and I had started working at a hospital within a few months of being arrested. But the point is that I was a taxpayer, I was a homeowner, I was an educated immigrant. The reason why I was out of status was because I married someone who didn't have a birth certificate and was stuck up in that. So in all essence, the fact that I was arrested in my home, to me is actually a crime, because I was reported by someone who I had a protection order on. So there's the system is obviously definitely broken, because first of all, if I am legally married to a citizen, they should not ever have the power to be able to report me and have me
And you
deported.
also are the mother of two young American citizens.
Absolutely, yes,
So at the
absolutely.
time that you were arrested, and obviously your husband sought custody, and this was only after he had assaulted you.
Yes, yes, and no one bothered to investigate all of this. I mean, the point is, though, I mean, I don't care what the circumstances were. I mean, regarding my visa or whether it was expired or not. The reality was that I had been legally married for 6 years to an American citizen. So the fact that he can have the power to pick up a phone and say, "Hey, there's an illegal person leaving here," and for them to actually come and arrest me, is just plain wrong. I mean, if I had been in the middle of committing some violent crime and then immigration got involved, that's one thing. But this is what's broken with the system, is that they're taking innocent people, like a registered nurse sleeping in a home that she owns, that she's paying mortgage on, who's paying taxes, and putting them in jail. And what does that? And then, I mean, they then in turn have to spend $119 a day taking
Right.
care of me as an inmate. I mean, so there's
So,
so many things, and they're stopping
so
people.
can you briefly describe the treatment and the surroundings of what this jail entails? Because you're talking about wearing the orange jumpsuit, and this is definitely the type that
Uh,
we see
yeah,
for inmates.
I think what moved me, obviously, what moved me to start writing my story was, obviously, I really believed that I would be deported, because there was no one giving me answers. I had, the jail I was in, the people that worked there would simply say that they were housing me. They had no information regarding my case.
Right.
Immigration is completely separated from this jail that they house immigrants in. So basically, we're ignored. We have no rights whatsoever. We know nothing. We're just sitting there day after day, and it's just it really doesn't make sense. And I mean, it was that is why I had to write about it, because I
Okay,
don't.
so let me find, you're still in Nebraska, Omaha, where you live, where you obviously been married and living and where you had your children. What happened when you got out? How did you get out, and was there any bail, and how much bail was it set
Yes,
for?
when I was originally arrested, they set my bail at $25,000, and now you've got to understand that with the immigration courts, there is no 10%. If your bail is set at 25,000, then you need to come up with 25,000. Now
Right,
I don't know about you, but I don't know many people that have 25,000 just sitting around.
right,
Um, so that's what they originally set the bail amount at. Luckily, the only thing that made me lucky was that my immediate family, my aunt who raised me and all her children, had moved here. And because my aunt moved here when she was an adult and knew what to do, she had acquired a green card within a year of being here. I came to this country when I was 19. I was young and naive and clueless. And
right.
that is how my visa went out of status. That is how I just was simply surviving. So because she was here, she was able to acquire an immigration lawyer for me, and who then started working diligently to get me out. And I actually remember the first day that I went to court. My lawyer was really upset because the facts were that this man who reported me was facing third-degree domestic assault charges. I had a protection order. I had been married. No one investigated this, which is where, for me, I think racism played a big part, because
Right.
my ex-husband was white and I am Black and African. I really don't think that had I been a white African or had he been a Black man, they would have done that. So I talk a little bit about race relations in this country and how racial profiling occurs. And just recently here in Papillion, I just read about a story where a Mexican guy who's a citizen was pulled over and, locked in jail for 4 days because they suspected that he was illegal.
Okay, okay. We
You
don't
know,
have much time, Ruth. We're just going to proceed cautiously here. Now, obviously, you were released. I guess the bail had been reduced after you went for a hearing, and you were released. Your husband finally lost custody of the children, and he served time for the assault that he did to you. And obviously, you're back now staying with your family as a single mother and a lesbian, right?
absolutely. Yes.
Okay, now you're obviously an African from Zimbabwe, and you know that there's this myth about women and women sleeping together, women and women marrying each other, man to man, the same thing. So, in your own understanding, is gay a blanket description for both male and female? Can you break it down to us?
Well, I mean, gay actually refers to men who are attracted to the same sex,
Right.
but it is unfortunately in most instances used as a blanket term. I answer to that label, gay, because as an LGBTQ activist, if it's describing someone who's attracted to the same sex, then I am that. I am a lesbian because I'm a woman, but I know that in our societies, African societies, maybe we may not understand the terms, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer. There's all of these different names out there
So,
that we
so
don't
is this
understand.
by choice? Do you make a choice, a subconscious choice? And if it is a choice, when did you make yours?
You mean to be gay?
Right.
For me, it was never a choice. I grew up in Zimbabwe, obviously, where you don't see. I never saw anyone who was gay or lesbian. But I know that as a young girl, I was very much a tomboy. Very much rejected the idea of just being a girl or wearing dresses and whatnot. And when I was about 10 years old, I started having really vivid dreams, intimate dreams of other women and other girls. And obviously, because of my culture and my society, I just kind of labeled myself insane, and I, just kind of
What were
kept
you
it hidden.
doing in the dreams, if I may ask, if I may probe?
In the dreams, I was doing sexual stuff that I get to do now that I've actually owned up to it. But it was like, it wasn't, the thing is, dreaming about stuff. I have no control over my dreams. You have no control over the things that you dream of. It was a very, it always occurred in a subconscious state where I was not in control of my emotions or my feelings. And so it was for a long time, it was something that I didn't understand. And then I found myself always developing crushes on older girls, especially, you know, and I literally would follow them like just a little lost puppy, and just being so confused as to why I was so drawn to women and girls when, you know, I mean, obviously I was supposed to be attracted to boys.
So you obviously came out after you had been married and after having 2 children with the same man.
Yes.
Can you describe to us the process of coming out or whatever it is?
Yeah. Well, I'll try to keep it short, but there came a time when I was in nursing school where I found myself attracted to a particular woman in my class.
Right.
And there was an incident that occurred, and actually my ex-husband was present when this happened. It almost caused a fight between them. But after that incident, I could no longer deny who I was, because it was the first time that I was close enough to a woman to experience the intimacy that I had always dreamt about. Even though her and I, nothing really happened, but it was like in the way that we just touched or danced, and it never went any further, but it really awakened me to the reality of who I really was, because I'd never felt that way with a man. I'd never, you know, a man had never touched me and, like,
as a Zimbabwean, having been raised in Zimbabwean tradition, obviously, that abhors this kind of behavior, what do you have to say? I mean, we come from a country where the president has publicly and repeatedly announced that gay people are worse than pigs and dogs. I mean, publicly. What would you say in his face if you had a chance to meet him?
If I had ooh, wow. I don't know if I would actually want a chance to meet him. But if I did, you know what, I would say, you know, I guess he is entitled to his opinion, but his opinion doesn't define who I am. I know who I am. I will stand by who I am, no matter what anyone else thinks. Even if I was the only African woman who felt this way, which I'm not, I would still stand by it, because this is who I really am. I've put layers on myself for so long because of society. I was an orphan child. I couldn't even admit to myself that I was orphaned. I lied about that. I knew I was a lesbian from early on. I didn't own up to that. I was illegal. I kind of pretended I wasn't. So going through the jail, I faced myself and I've owned up to everything. I've removed all the layers. I am me, and no one else has to agree with who I am or understand it. As long as I understand who I am and I have peace of mind when I sleep at night, that is what matters, and that is what I'm about, and that is why I speak, and that is why I'm not afraid.
So as Africans, most Africans always ask, what if my husband is gay? What if my wife is lesbian, involved in a relationship? Are there any ways of telling? And
oh my God.
I also want to say there's what they call the down low, the DL.
Yes.
And
Yes.
in your experience, because now that you're speaking publicly, obviously you meet many married women with children, single and everybody, attracted to you maybe. How is this and how does it go?
You'd be surprised at how many people have secretly contacted me, either because there's actually a Zimbabwean pastor whose wife left him for another woman. I've heard, I mean, endless stories of people who come out to me. Some obviously, you know, keep it secretive and stay in their heterosexual marriages, even though they're having other relationships on the side. Some people, you know, have the courage to leave, but it's actually not uncommon at all. You'd be surprised. And this is actually a stigma that affects all Black societies. Even Black Americans have this problem, to where, you know, men are gay and they're on the down low and, you know, married to women but sleeping. And it happens in churches. It happens everywhere. That is why I speak, because it's like, you know, we have to stop sugarcoating things and being realistic.
Okay, we're running out of time. Now, you're a mother of 2. Have you been in an openly gay, lesbian affair with a woman? And what do you teach your children? Because a lot of people will obviously be worried. And some people who are obviously judging you would say, oh my God, what is she teaching those children? She's trying to confuse them. Can you tell us your relationship with your own personal children?
Yes, I am. I was actually in a 3-year relationship right after I got out of my marriage with my ex-girlfriend. We lived together. She helped me raise my kids from the time they were 2 and 4.
Right.
Ironically, my ex-husband tried to use my sexuality against me to the point where social services actually went to my kids' school, came to my house to interview both my girlfriend and I. And the truth is that when I was with my girlfriend, I did everything in front of them that I had done if I had been with a man. I held hands with her. I cuddled. We kissed. My children, who are now 8 and 4, we go to a very open church, Metropolitan Community Church of Omaha. On a weekly basis, my children see men holding hands, women holding hands, men and women holding hands. They've seen everything. They see trans men in dresses and heels. But guess what? My daughter is 8. She just got accepted into the gifted program, one of only 2 students in her class.
Wow.
She is exceptional academically, socially, and any other way you can even think of it. You know, they're developing at an amazing, I mean, they're good members of society, not because I say so, but because their teachers say so.
Right.
They're kind, they're considerate, they're smart, and intelligent. So you know, whoever thinks that my kids, whoever feels sorry for my kids, I would dare them to even bring their 14-year-old to have a spelling contest with my 8-year-old, and we'll see who does better. I would challenge them to bring their so-called children in any respect and put my kids in the same room, and we'll see how much better their kids are. We have to stop lying to ourselves and stop judging what we don't know about. I have many friends who are gay and lesbians who are raising children, wonderfully doing a great job. So we have to stop being so ignorant, because
Okay, there's another question here that I'm getting. People want to know that how do you figure out who's the male or who plays the female role in your relationship?
Okay, asking that question is asking 2 forks, who's the knife? If there's 2 women in a relationship, there is no man in that relationship. There's power dynamics in every relationship, whether it's heterosexual or it's homosexual. You know, people. The good thing I think about being LGBTQ is sometimes we allow ourselves to express ourselves differently. I love bow ties and button-up shirts. Does that necessarily mean that I am the more, I don't know, male one? No, not necessarily. I think every relationship is different. I think with the different women I've dated, even the power dynamics have been different depending on who I'm with. There is no man in a lesbian relationship. There is no woman in a gay relationship. It's just about 2 people coming together and doing what they do. I you know, like, it's like me being curious about what you do with your girlfriend or whatnot. You know, who cares?
Right.
I don't care what you do in the bedroom. Maybe you like to be spanked. Does that make you female? No.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so do you look to fall in love, get married, have a white wedding? Who knows? In the future?
Yeah, actually my heart is taken right now.
Right.
Whether, you know what, I've been, because I was in a wrong marriage and it ended really badly, I've been scarred with that. But slowly, you know, the older I get, I think I would. I think if Mrs. Right
Right.
is Mrs. Right, I think it is something that I would consider. Actually, before I broke up with my ex-girlfriend, we had actually looked at rings. So yeah, marriage is absolutely something that's why I fight. I mean, I fight for
Okay.
marriage equality in the hopes that one day, if I wanted to, I would have that option.
Yeah. So we thank you very much for coming, and that was very candid of you to share the intimate details about your life, your incarceration. So one more question. If freedom is feeling, how do you feel today?
Actually, freedom for me is not, it's not a physical thing. You know, I didn't title the book Freedom of an Illegal Immigrant because I got out of jail. I titled it that because finally I faced myself, everything that I am, and
Right.
accepted it, and I honor and love who I am. So I have that freedom, you know, from society, freedom from other people's opinions, freedom from the world. I am just free to move in the world freely as I am. I don't need to hide or cover up anything, and that is what freedom means to me.
Okay, thank you very much, Ruth, for coming onto our program once again. The show comes to an end right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and obviously read some of the questions and comments that people have been making. First of all, there was the question of the day, which was American drones are now all over Africa. Do you feel more secure or scared by these developments? Ben Koo said, this was through Facebook, it is a good development. He obviously welcomes it. Musa Mohammed said, it's horrible and ridiculous. Benjamin Anthony said, I'm not too comfortable with this development. So we also went down to David Nehemiah, who said, more secure than having stupids called Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, and anybody else who's a terrorist in Africa. So they actually seem like they're welcoming this drone business. They also, somebody else, Somalia, Ibrahim Saleh, says the uses of the puppets call leaders to enslave us economically, politically, and socially, and it's now military suppression. If I may ask, does America ever do nothing for nothing? A layman to US can hardly understand their conspiracy against the world. And now it comes to one of our guests, who's Ruth Marimo, who was here. People were asking, saying, in terms of her having discovered, in fact, having come out after she had been married, one of our responders on Facebook, who's Joseph Adekanyi, says, you don't discover you're a lesbian. You are either one or not. So saying she discovered after marriage is wrong, fallacious, and lie to reasoning and logic. We also have Vershima Daniel, who said, I'm still love her as long as she gives me children. So there you go. So just stay around with us. We're going to show you the rest of our programs and join us next week. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter. You can also follow us on Skype and on Facebook at Sahara Publishers at gmail.com. Thank you.